Hello, I hope everyone's doing well today. Instead of doing a pre-record, I decided to. I hope everyone's doing well today. Sorry, I had a different tab open. No, instead of doing a pre-record on this one, I decided to come on and go live because there is so much information and I'm still digging. So I thought we could kind of do that together and go over what I found out so far. This case is local to me and I really had no idea of all the details. And since digging into it, I haven't been able to stop. It's a good case, guys. So there's a lot of information, and I thought we would start with just the basics. Give me just a second here. Hey, single mom, how are you? It's so good to see you. About missed you there. So we're talking today about Ricky Griffis. Let me find this picture I was going to pull up here so we can see him. I'm a little rusty on the screen sharing as usual, but we'll make it through together. Okay, here we go. This is Ricky Griffis. Ricky Griffis was 46 when he went missing on July 4th or 5th of 2022. You'll understand why I say 4th or 5th when we get into the details. There's still some questions there, is my understanding. And if anyone listening knows this case better than me and I get something wrong, feel free to correct me because there's a lot of information and I do want to make sure that I get it all correct. His last known location was Monticello, Kentucky. He was 6 foot tall, weighed 180 pounds, brown hair, and brown eyes. So just some general information before we get started. He was last seen leaving an acquaintance's place of business. They had planned on meeting up the next night. He texted her a few times after that, and the last text said that he was going to bed. His car was found the next day in the location of the Coopersville strip mines. He sent a text around 9 a.m. saying that he was stuck in the woods. His cell phone was found in the vehicle. Ricky has a tribal tattoo on his arm. He would normally wear a t-shirt with a button-up shirt over it and jeans with tennis shoes. He has a button-up plaid blue jacket. Ricky loves to collect tools and likes working and fixing things. Okay, so that's the basic information that's on his flyer. The contact that was made on the 5th is questionable to the family, so that's one reason why I said the 4th or 5th. So let me see here. Let's see where we can go after this. I've got about 4 pages of notes here. Okay, so 46-year-old Ricky Griffis went missing on the 4th or the 5th. And his last known location had it listed as Monticello, Kentucky, but he was also seen in Pulaski County in an area called Antioch. So we'll keep that in mind as we go on here. Ricky has been covered by several people, Nancy Grace being one of them, and Phil Pendleton, which is a popular reporter on a Kentucky news station. They both have reported on this and requested documents. And to my knowledge, they haven't received the search warrants or anything that they've requested. So what I want to do is watch the Nancy Grace clip because even though we haven't got all the information yet, I feel like it helps as you're easing into a lot of it to watch it first. So we'll go ahead and watch the Nancy Grace clip. And this is his sister, Cheyenne, I do believe, who is on Nancy Grace. His family has been very active in this investigation, if not the only ones investigating, it seems like at times. So they have gathered a lot of this information and they have been rock stars, guys. I could not believe the stuff that they had uncovered that law enforcement hadn't been able to or just didn't want to. But let's see. We'll watch this episode of Nancy Grace, or this clip from the Nancy Grace episode.
Hey, Carney, this is Ricky's sister. You say that you know more now than you did before. To what are you referring?
The leads that Tony has received, the leads that we've received since you, Nancy, since you. I hate to even, we had to apply that pressure because the law enforcement here was not applying any pressure. There was a lie detector test. Nancy, we have a video of, we have someone admitting to killing my brother. We have people that he admitted that to come forth, and they're just brushed under the rug. it had to take us to reach out to you before we got a response, because our
And
family
what
has
was the response? I'm very curious.
just answering the phone. We've not had nobody answer the phone.
You know what? That is embarrassing to Brian Fitzgibbons, VP Operation USPA Nationwide Security. When I hear that law enforcement won't even pick up the phone, that's like a kick in the teeth.
It's despicable. It's absolutely despicable. And there has to be some accountability here for the contamination of the crime.
Just real quick, just to be clear, it's Wayne County Sheriff's Office that wasn't answering the phone and being very, forthcoming with communications with the family. I wanted to put that out there since 2 counties are involved. I don't know, maybe Pulaski's doing the same thing, but Wayne County is the one that they're referring to right now, to my knowledge.
I've seen in the first instance with the vehicle being pulled out of the woods the way that it was. The second thing is, I'd advise the family to make sure that they get records of everything that's been submitted to law enforcement thus far. It's absolutely despicable the way that this case has been handled.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here. Actually, my department uses Monday.com, so I'm good. The work management tool.
Okay, that was that. So as you can see, there's questions surrounding this case. Not only questions about the investigations that law enforcement's been doing, but there's just not been a lot of information, I don't think, shared with the family. The information that the family does have, it seems that they have done their own investigation. When I say that they've done their own investigation, I'm talking that the mother went to pick up her son's wallet in this investigation from the female who had it. So, yeah, that's not something we typically hear of in these cases. Law enforcement typically doesn't want a civilian or a family member going to do something like that alone without an officer. So there's just a lot of questions surrounding it. This is from WYMT. It's one of the local stations in Kentucky. And I thought we could read this because it is kind of from Ellie's point of view. And it is giving some information. And like I said, they haven't gave a lot of information in this. So I thought we would start here. And then we'll start at the beginning of the story and line all the details out because there's a lot of details. Okay, so it says that the sheriff foul play is suspected in Wayne County disappearance. We'll see, there's a video here. We might just be able to watch it and get the gist of it.
We want our kids to be protected.
But we haven't taken them for a vaccine. And even healthy kids can get really sick from COVID-19.
The vaccines are safe and will increase their protection against severe illness.
So we called Home Place Clinic to know that our children are safe.
We took them to get
Sorry about the ad. It looks
the
like it's
vaccine
supposed to be in
to know they're more protected.
COVID-19 vaccines are safe.
Well, we will watch it
and
if it'll let
effective.
us.
Protect your family. Call Home Place Clinic today to schedule a vaccine or booster for you and your children 6 months or older.
It's been 3 months now since Ricky Griffis disappeared in Wayne.
So this tells you that this
Wayne
is back
County
in
Sheriff Tim
2022 when they done
says
this news
foul
report.
play is a possibility. They have given several people polygraph tests, and the sheriff says they still have at least one more to go. Griffith's mother, Alice Mabe, says she wishes state and even federal law enforcement would step in to help. She fears as time goes, the answers will as well.
3 months too long, because now we're going to find whatever we find, but there won't be no evidence. That's how it works.
Mabe says her son was last seen around July 4th, but that she received several strange text messages from his phone, but she questions if he actually sent them.
Okay, let me pull his picture back up here and then we'll dive into the whole thing because it's a lot. And I feel like I'm just scratching the surface right now. Okay, So, like I said, this is Ricky Griffis. Get back over where I can see the chat, or I'll forget about you while I'm going through this. I get caught up. Okay, so 46-year-old Ricky Griffis went missing on the 4th or the 5th of July, 2022. So on July 4th, we know during that day he went and had a meal at a place called The Cove in Burnside, Kentucky. We know this because a note was found on the back of a receipt from one of the patrons there. Ricky, who is described as a very kind and caring person from his family who had had 2 years clean from his addictions. His mom brags a lot about that, and that's something that they seem to be sure of, is that Ricky was on the right path finally. So while he was at the Cove, he bought another couple's dinner when he was there. So when he bought another couple's dinner, they had wrote him a note to thank him, and that was found. I think it was found in his car, but we'll get to that later, the specific on that. Don't hold me to it. So we know that he was at the Cove and that he bought someone's meal. We know that he left the Cove. We know during that time that he was at ATMs. He was also at a Shell station, I think in the Monticello area. But the most interesting thing we know is that his last known location, according to his family, was in Antioch. And they know this from GPS coordinates. Well, when he was all over the place, he was out for, a day out on the 4th of July. He went to lunch. After that, he was going to hang out with friends. He texted his mom that he wasn't coming home. So no one was worried for 24 hours because he said he wasn't coming home. His last known location, according to cell phone eyewitnesses also, was in Antioch, Kentucky with 2 men. Since then, this residence that he was at, which was one of the yard barns, is the way it's described, like a building that's been converted into a house. Since then, those have been removed. A building has been burned on that property, so it's very iffy. If you look online, you will find the person that lives at this residence is being referred to as the Antioch Monster, and we'll get further into that too. But, cell phone coordinates, they don't lie. And the eyewitnesses that seen him, it's very likely that Ricky was there. And actually, it's been admitted that he was there, is my understanding. So he was at this house, and the person who lives there claims that Ricky left alone. However, the eyewitnesses says that this person that's referred to as the Antioch Monster had left with Ricky. So we need to keep that in mind. Okay, so fast forward to July 5th. There was a couple questionable texts. These texts were sent to his mom, according to law enforcement, and there's some questions that I have around this, exactly what the family's saying, but I do know these messages took place. The first message that the first communication was that he was lost in the woods, and then that he was stuck in the mud, and that was on July 5th. The families question this because of the location the car was found at. So on July 6th, they filed the missing report and found his car in Coopersville. Now, Ricky was from Monticello, Kentucky, which is right next to Burnside, Kentucky. They're not very far away. So it makes sense that he would go to Burnside to have some lunch or, some early dinner, and then go hang out with friends in Antioch that's in the same town, and then head back to home way, to Monticello. So they found his car about 12 minutes or 12 miles. I can't remember. My notes are a little iffy on that. But they found it in a place called Coopersville, but it was fairly close, to Monticello, where he's from. And they found that on July the 6th. Okay, guys. When they found the car, his seat wasn't consistent with someone of 6. Yeah, well, let me rewind. Sorry, guys. Try to hang with me here. Like I said, this is a lot of information. I probably should have waited another day. I was going to, but I just got too excited because I'm so deep in. But those weren't the only texts that were weird. Okay, Ricky was actually also supposed to meet up with a female that night. And while he was, quote, on his way, or what they feel on his way, this is messages that his sister has found in Messenger, to my knowledge. Okay, she said the messages were not consistent with Ricky's typing, like the way his style of text. It was using emojis and stuff like that, and he just wasn't a big emoji user. So it just didn't even sound like him. In these messages, it was things like, on our way, would already been there, but he lost signal. He was using words like we, to my understanding. So it was like he had someone with him that was a he. Okay, but he never made it to that destination. But those messages were questioned too. They're being questioned as well. And then when they found the car is when they found the note from the guy at the bar or at the cove where he was at from the man that he had bought lunch for or dinner, whatever you want to call it. I'm not real clear on the time he was there. I just know that it was probably somewhere right after lunch or right before dinner, to my understanding. But at any rate, they found that note, so they knew that Ricky had been there. They also found a pack of unopened cigarettes, and Ricky is described as a chain smoker, and there was no cigarette butts or anything in the area. So I don't know if any of you all have ever been smokers, but typically if you're a chain smoker and you get stuck in the mud or you're lost, you're going to be smoking some of those cigarettes, and you're not going to leave your whole pack of cigarettes in the car. I mean, if you're a real smoker, you're taking those cigarettes with you everywhere you go, or I know I used to when I was a smoker. So none of those were smoked. And then also the car seat. His sister did take note that the car seat, her brother was 6 foot tall. So the car seat was not consistent with someone who was 6 foot tall. Okay, let's see where we're at here so I don't get too far. And just while we're here, because I seen this note that I took looking through, I want to showcase how classy Wayne County, Kentucky is as far as their law enforcement here. Allegedly, and I have to say that because I don't know this is fact, but I believe it, family asked Wayne County Sheriff's Office or the Sheriff Tim Catron why they wouldn't send nobody out to search on the 6th. It took them 48 hours to get someone out there to search. But asking why didn't they? And they were told, quote, they didn't want to get mud and scratches on a $70,000 car. Yes, you heard me. They didn't want to scratch up their cruisers because this was, I guess, an area like that. So, yeah, that's why it took them 48 hours to get out there. So I thought I would mention that note while I was here. Just a second. So the cops left the car there for 48 hours before they had done anything. Let's see. And people wasn't questioned immediately after this either. Yeah, single mom, you heard me right. Unfortunately, law enforcement and around my area, and sometimes in my area too, is just like anywhere else. They're shit, man. There's a few good ones and there's some shit ones. And obviously the shit ones is the ones that stick out because it's the ones that really hurt cases like this. I agree, truth and justice. The family believes, the family will, I don't know if you heard Nancy Grace or not, but during that interview, the sister disclosed that she's been told that her brother's been murdered. This family completely believes that Ricky is no longer with us, and they just want answers and justice for him. And justice for Ricky is what they're advocating for right now, and what they're doing their best to keep this investigation alive for. They want justice for their son. They want justice for their brother, their uncle, their dad. You know, Ricky was loved. He was a good person. He talked to his mom every day, his sister every day, would pop in to do laundry. So there's no way that he would go this long without seeing his family. This is completely out of his character, regardless of what lifestyle he would be living at the time. This is out of his character. And again, I want you all to keep in mind that he was clean for 2 years. So I don't really feel like, oh, he's an addict would fit in this case. It doesn't fit to me. Yes, they were more concerned about a cruiser than a missing man, single mom. And loves the Lark, that's what I said. He would have brought his cigarettes. He would have brought his cell phone. Because it's my understanding that his cell phone was found in the car. And if anybody knows this case, and I'm wrong about that, let me know. I'm sure I'll come back up on it in my notes here. So no one was questioned immediately after. So in general, law enforcement did not immediately investigate or search. Once effort was shown, Ricky was not found. The sister does not believe that Ricky drove his car there. As I said, he was 6 foot tall and the seat was too far up. And we mentioned about the chain smoker and no cigarette butts near the car or anything. Also would like to note that Ricky was a very resourceful man. He could fix about anything. He knew the area well where his car was found, so it's not likely that he would have gotten lost there. Let's see. Just looking over my notes here, seeing what I've missed or what I haven't missed. So in one article I read, it said that Cajun Coast, when they came to search, because they did come to search for Ricky, I read that their search and rescue team dogs picked this up. I've also read that it was also law enforcement, and I'm not sure if that was Somerset or Wayne County law enforcement who searched. But at any rate, when dogs were being used at one time, they sniffed the driver's seat, picked up a scent, which family believes not to be Ricky's, went up to the ridge of the area, then back down to an end of a road. So the family says this is like someone went up to the ridge for a signal on their cell phone and then walked back down to be picked up at the end of the road. So this would be consistent if somebody took and dropped Ricky's car at that location and then had to call for a ride and then got picked up. I think that makes a lot of sense according with the other factors. So I thought that was important to note. Let me see here. I don't have enough notes. So let's see. This is talking about the messages that the sister described as staged because it wasn't consistent with how he talked. So we talked about what Ellie said and things. Do you guys have any questions so far? I know I'm covering a lot of information. It is a lot of information. I'm going to pull up something to read to you all here. I can't share Facebook while I'm live, but I can give you information. They have a Justice for Ricky page, which I'll post in chat before this is over with. And the Justice for Ricky page, for Ricky Griffis page on Facebook, has a lot of great information on it, including the note and things, so let's see. Let me pull up a facts list that I think either the sister or the mother done to correct a podcast. So I thought it was a lot of good information, and I wanted to hit some key points on there as well. So Coffee and Cases podcast done a podcast on this, and guys, they were good. That's where I got some of my information at today. So the mom just wanted to clarify misinformation that the media was putting out. And I think it's the mother or the sister, like I said. So one thing is his wallet. I do believe that in these articles, it says his wallet was found in his car. What was the distance from the car and the last sighting ping? Okay. So his last, that I know of, the last ping on his GPS on his cell phone that the family has noted was in Antioch, Kentucky. It was in Burnside, Kentucky, in a community called Antioch. Okay, his car was found in Coopersville, which is a community in Monticello, Kentucky. So you're looking at 30 minutes. I can get anywhere in Monticello in 30 minutes from Burnside. So that's a safe bet, but it could even be closer than that. So it was in an area that he should have been familiar with, being a good old boy that grew up there. Because he wasn't new to the area, guys. Ricky grew up in Wayne County, Kentucky. Let's see. Yeah, he was a football player there. Spoke to his family every day. He was single a week prior to the 4th. He was clean for 2 years. Highway. Back roads. I don't know if there's any back roads that would take you there. There might be, but I think at any rate they would have to at least get on a Highway 90, which is a pretty good stretch of road. Cameras, no. It is my knowledge that we don't have any cameras on that bridge. But what they do have is surveillance from the ATMs that Ricky stopped at. He had about 5 people in the car with him, is my understanding that they can tell. If I'm not mistaken, 4 of them have received polygraph tests, but I do know 4 polygraph tests have been given in all. So, you know, he did have people. He was out having a good time, I'm sure, hanging out with a friend group, and possibly, like I said, they got the surveillance cameras from the ATM, and I think maybe even the Shell station that he stopped at. That wasn't disclosed. How much money he took out was not disclosed, because that's one question that I had wrote down too that I haven't found yet. But when I find it, I will definitely let you know. Because I was wondering too, with that many people with you, I was thinking maybe it's a situation where, yeah, the money's important. How much he took out was important, in my opinion. Was it an amount that he didn't normally take out? Was it a reasonable amount? Was there receipts for what he spent it for, you know? Could this have been motivated by money? Those are all things that run through my head. I don't think he stopped at like different ATMs like that back to back. I think he probably had an ATM receipt from earlier in the day. I went to the Cove and then had an ATM receipt from later. I think they were quite spaced out. I think he was making stops as he went through, you know, picking up friends, hanging out, going through his stops through Pulaski back to Monticello, that kind of thing. Let me see here. It was the Pit Mart in Monticello was the Shell station he was seen at. He was supposed to have met a girl, and that was the girl that was getting those Facebook messages, and he never showed. So when I look at all this, guys, one of 3 things happen. I'm talking about receipts. It's that they found receipts and then they were able to get the ATM surveillance. I don't know how many times it was. I took it as more than 1 because I remember seeing something making it plural. Well, like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going to write that down to make sure. See, how much did he withdraw? And we want to keep in mind, guys, that this is an open investigation. Search warrants have been requested. I think they've done about 5 or 6 of them now, but they can't compromise an open investigation is what Nancy Grace, Phil Pendleton, and the family is being told for a while now. The family said it took them a year to get the surveillance video to watch, and it is my understanding that they said that he was acting out of character on one of those. So who knows, whatever happened that night, maybe the stress was starting at that time. I don't know. I'm going to write down how many times did he stop so I can go back and check that. Okay. Sorry, I write slow, guys. So, like I said, when we think about this, like one of 3 things had to happen. 1, he had to leave on his own accord. He wants to be missing. 2, he was involved in an accident and he got lost. Meaning he was saying he was stuck in the mud and lost in the woods and all that, and that happened. 3, of course, is foul play. So if Ricky left on his own accord, my question is, why would he have sent the messages saying that he wasn't coming home? Why even tell anybody? Number 1. Number 2, why send messages saying you're on your way to meet somebody and then never show up? You know, he didn't take any, that wasn't in his character. You know, I can't find anything that points towards he left willingly. Not that I've seen so far. When you think about him being stuck in the mud or lost in the woods, his family doesn't believe that this is very likely because he had a cell phone. Yeah, he would have definitely took those cigarettes. That's the most key piece of evidence right there to me. I know what a smoker's like because I've been a smoker. Right now I'm a vapor. I'm taking this vape everywhere. No, gotta have my nicotine. Did the request records for his phone calls and last person called. His sister stated in one of her interviews that her and Ricky shared a lot of information with each other, so she had his passwords. So it's my understanding that the information that's been received as regards to his GPS coordinates and the messages that was sent on his socials and through text, all of those, that all was discovered by his sister and his phone that was found in his car. She found that information herself and confirmed that herself. Law enforcement has confirmed little about this case. So as far as the phone calls and stuff, his phone did ping in Antioch, and eyewitnesses seen him leave there with the man that his family refers to as the Antioch Monster. So, yeah, I mean, she said that he was loves the lark. He said that he was the kind of son that would come through, throw a load of laundry on. Also, keep in mind, he was newly single, and it had been known that when Ricky was single, he would pop back home every now and then to stay. So, it's definitely out of character for him to be gone this long. There's no way. There's no question in their mind that this is foul play. And I mean, like I said, one thing that we do know is that 4 polygraph tests were done. And I think it was July of 2023, Tim Catherine, the sheriff in Wayne County, Kentucky, had said that the 6th search warrant had been obtained, but nothing's been revealed, including the search warrants. So, you know, it's a sad case. I don't know that I've read. Let me skim through this real quick. Okay, yeah, this one I wanted to go over because this is about the search. And I just want to publicly state something. Some of you all, when we talk about the Cajun search team, the man who come up here, I thought that he had been mixed up in some scam situations, and he may have been, but I can't find that information now. So I would like to scratch that from the record because I can't cite my sources, and I don't want to put stuff like that out there because everything that I found today, these people really came and done a legit search for him. It's my understanding that the polygraph information has not been released. Nancy Grace requested the search warrants and different things on this case and was denied them. Phil Pendleton was, as well as the family. They've been waiting, I'm sure, well over a year now. So, whoops. Okay. So this is in regards to the Cajun Coast searchers that came out and the Nancy Grace stuff, I do believe. It says the national spotlight has turned towards the search for a missing Kentucky man, Ricky Griffis, who hasn't been seen in nearly a year. So this would have been last year. Crime Online's Nancy Grace will be highlighting the search for Griffis on Crime Stories Friday, joined by special guests that include the owner of the Cajun Coast Search and Rescue Team, Tony Wade. Wade and his team arrived earlier this month in Kentucky and so far have searched around 50 miles, including in caves around southern Kentucky. Nancy has been a friend of mine for many years. When I called her about it last week, she jumped on it, Wade told WKYT. I think in a missing persons case, the more publicity a case gets, the more helpful it is. The more leads come in, the more tips come in. As Crime Online previously reported, Griffith's last conversation, who was reported missing on July 5th, 2022, still remains vivid in his mother, Alice Mabe's memory, according to what she told ABC 36. Mabe said that she asked Ricky if he would be coming home that night, but he responded with a no. Every day gets tougher because we've exhausted all of our efforts. However, we have entrusted the situation to a higher power, and progress is beginning to unfold, she said. According to the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, Griffith's last known whereabouts were in the Burnside area. Police found his car, phone, and wallet near a strip mine in Coopersville. And I would like to correct that. The wallet was not found in Coopersville. A lady in Monticello, Kentucky, who has now passed, is my understanding, she had his wallet. Mom was given permission by the sheriff's office to go pick it up herself how would I say, unchaperoned by any law enforcement. So she went herself in a case like this. I would have been scared to death to do it, but I guess you do anything for your kids. She went and obtained his wallet. So I'll correct that because I do know that to be incorrect. The sheriff's office also said they later discovered strange text messages, but Mabe said the family never received any text messages past his final text on July 4th. I think the reason mom says that is because she received the text message saying no. The other messages, my understanding, were Facebook messages, and they were sent to another female. And it's my understanding the sister found those. The family added that the note in his car indicated that he may have been at the Cove Bar and Grill on July 4th. The note I'm talking about is the thank you note for him buying a meal. Mabe said Ricky started battling alcohol and painkiller dependency after a near fatal accident led him to various drugs. He later sought rehab and successfully embarked on the path to recovery before his disappearance. Although she feels her son disappeared due to foul play, Mabe told WKYT she's grateful that CCSRT has joined to help search for him. They read her post and our post. It touched their heart. They wanted to gather their stuff and come look for Ricky, she said. Meanwhile, Wade said it's possible that their crew could search for other missing people in the area while they are in Kentucky. That's great because we do have a lot of missing. Griffis is described as a white male who stands 6 feet tall and weighs around 180 pounds, brown hair and eyes. Anyone with information on Griffis is urged to contact the Wayne County Sheriff's Office or Monticello Wayne County 911. To learn about the case, visit the Justice for Ricky Griffis Facebook page and check back for updates. Join Nancy Grace for her new online series designated to help you protect what you love the most, your children. Okay, so that was a good little article. I'll pull up here in just a second. Let me plug my laptop up. It's going dead. Story of my life. Okay, let me look at chat here. Sorry. Yeah, his wallet was separate. A lady in Monticello, Kentucky had it, which is what we're going to get into here. Some of these facts that doesn't, I guess law enforcement facts is not the facts in this case because the family have been the ones doing most of the investigating. So a few things have been gotten wrong in the media, I guess is what has happened. So the first thing that is on the Justice for Ricky Griffis to correct misinformation, it was away from his phone, was that Ricky's wallet was not found in his car. The mother personally retrieved his wallet from a female who resided at the Village Apartments in Monticello. Wayne County Sheriff's Office Deputy Joe Horn was, quote, too busy working on other cases to pick up the wallet himself and delegated it to mom to go to those apartments to pick it up with no protection from law enforcement. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office interviewed with the media stating that his wallet was found in his car. This is a very essential piece of misinformed and untrue information. This resulted in so many misleading and non-factual news media stories. Also, when mom received the wallet, his driver's license was missing from his wallet. So, something had happened to his driver's license. See, Truth and Justice, sorry, I missed your question there. Truth and Justice asked, did the guy they call the monster take a polygraph? So the Antioch monster, I assume, took a polygraph, but it hasn't been confirmed. I mean, law enforcement isn't saying anything pretty much. And it seems like the facts that they are putting out, they're getting them wrong sometimes. So it's probably one reason why it hasn't been solved. So this is in regards to the ATM. Another bullet point that she wanted to correct on here is that the Trust Bank ATM receipt and the receipt from the Cove were found in his car, not the wallet. So maybe it was just one ATM receipt, loves to lurk. I'm sure she'll elaborate on here and we'll know. She also wanted to correct that Cajun Coast Search and Rescue K9 did not pick up on any scents in the Coopersville area. CCSAR did not join the search for my brother until June of 2023. This is written from the sister's point of view. Somerset-Pulaski County Special Response Team brought 2 search dogs to the Coopersville location the day his car was discovered. Their dogs were the ones that tracked a scent from Ricky's car the day it was found, but not verified it could have been anyone who drove the car scent that was tracked. So it tracked a scent from the car up to the ridge and back down to that road. Also, CCSAR K9 Holder, along with a private search team with 2 additional canines, did alert on the same and exact area of high interest on separate searches, making a total of 3 alerts, 3 different canines, 3 different handlers, 3 different occasions at the same location. The private search team is still actively working on her brother's case and wishes to remain anonymous. So it looks like that they have alerted to Ricky's scent. And it seems to be a pretty good alert because it said that they have 3 alerts from 3 different dogs and 3 different handlers. So, and it was done at different occasions. So that's good. Wayne County Search and Rescue, Somerset Pulaski County Special Response Team, EquiSearch Midwest, Cajun Coast Search and Rescue, and the private team we are currently working with have been the only teams to search for Ricky. Local law enforcement responses to all of the, quote, out-of-town and, quote, non-local teams have been very standoffish and unwelcoming. Unsuccessful searches or little to no searches were made due to being able to gain access to search areas of interest or lack of communication. So the family's just had a lot of roadblocks in the way, you know. And he's been missing since July of 2022, and here we are in 2024, slowly creeping up on another year. Okay, another piece of misinformation that's common is that the location of Ricky's ATM transaction was Trust Bank, and the purchase of a pack of cigarettes using cash was made at the Pit Mart in Monticello. So I would assume that the money he took out was a reasonable amount for him, or they would highlight that. The Pit Mart had a video surveillance footage of Ricky being there. They were also eyewitnesses to seeing Ricky and were able to identify who was in the car with him, along with what he purchased. Wow. So I missed that detail when I was, wow. Okay, so let me go through chat here. Sorry if I've lost you guys. So we know that his wallet was found with the female in Monticello, not in his car. But his phone was found in the car. Okay. It also says the family requested a bank statement subpoena and ATM surveillance footage from Wayne County Sheriff's Office the day his car was found. It says they tried tirelessly for months to get them to retrieve that information to help verify a paper trail of his money and whereabouts, along with an accurate way to identify what he was last seen wearing. They did not file a subpoena for months after his disappearance. After receiving those, they would not allow the family to see the still photo of Ricky making the bank transaction. The family has not seen any physical proof that they even followed through. Wow. So we hear this, so much. This isn't new, especially in this area. You hear of this. Families having loved ones that's missing and not being able to get any answers from the police because they want to say it's an open investigation, but really they've dropped the ball in their investigation, and I think they don't want to let people know. That's my opinion. Allegedly, they dropped the ball on this investigation and don't want to let anybody in now. That's what I think. What do you guys think? Is that the way you're taking it? I guess I might be a little partial because I am local to this case, so I know the law enforcement that's involved. And like I said, we got a lot of good cops, guys. But the shitty ones really take away from it and really hold things up like this. It's frustrating. Excuse my language. Sorry. Yes, and not only Truth and Justice is it a FOIA request and it should be honored, but also Kentucky's a sunshine state. So there's literally nothing without a court order that they should be able. But what they're doing is they're dragging their feet, acting like they're processing, or saying it's an open investigation, and they're getting away with it. But I'm hopeful because Nancy Grace requested those. And she strikes me as someone who's going to be a bulldog going after those. So I'm hoping one day that she does get them and out them. if anybody can get them, Nancy Grace can, is what I think, anyways. The family would also like to correct some misinformation in regards to the detectives. So Deputy Joe Horn was the first detective assigned to Ricky's case. The family did request him to be removed from the case. He was then replaced by Deputy Cody Neal, who is still currently over his case. It wasn't until after the Nancy Grace interview that Kentucky State Police Officer Matt Parmley started to assist Neal. So the Nancy Grace episode did help. I think that's really great that they got on Nancy Grace. I wish we could get all of our cases on Nancy Grace. And then also, family states it is a fact that Wayne County Sheriff's Office never physically went to the exact location of Ricky's car. The Wayne County Sheriff's Office waited in an open area for his vehicle to be brought to them. His car was then briefly searched by Deputy Travis Bell. It also, and sadly a fact, that when a family member asked Sheriff Tim Catron why none of his deputies or himself went to the exact location of the car, his response was that no one wanted to get their $70,000 vehicle scratched up or dirty. This statement was made in front of several of Ricky's family members, including 2 small children. Wow. I'm always shocked when I hear that, and it comes up several times when you look into this case, but I'm still shocked. So there is a few places that Ricky was confirmed to be seen on July 4th, 5th of 2022. So the Cove in Burnside, Kentucky, that's where he had his meal at and bought the meal for the other people. And the note they found, that all came from the Cove. Trust Bank in Monticello, Kentucky. Monticello Village Apartments in Monticello, Kentucky. The Village Apartments is where they found his wallet with a female. Pit Mart, Monticello, Kentucky. Pit Mart would have been where he bought his cigarettes at. And we remember that they were able to give a description of the people who were with him. The person or people, I'm not sure if it was more than one. A residence in Bell Subdivision, Monticello, Kentucky. So he was there. I'm not sure how they know that, but and then the Junction in Albany, Kentucky. I'm assuming that might be some kind of surveillance, because when he gets up towards that way, that's probably where there's some cameras at. And then they have his last known location listed as 918 Lakeshore Drive, and that is in Antioch, I do believe. Yeah. So there's also information here about the man that they're referring to as the Antioch Monster, and I'm going to keep referring to him as that because I'm not going to use his real name. I think I have stumbled up on it now, but I'm not going to use his real name because, I'll just keep calling him that. And it's nothing against anybody. It's nothing to poke the bear or anything. It's just I'm not putting his name out here yet. I don't feel that's my place to, and I'm still too new to the case. So his family says that the Antioch Monster had a brief and unprofessional roadside interview done by Joe Horn. We know that was the deputy that was first assigned as the detective. If that tells you anything, they assigned a deputy to be the detective on this case. The quote, Antioch Monster also reached out to family after this interview, aggressively claiming his innocence, along with giving family and Deputy Horn the names of who he was with that night and who needed to be questioned and looked into. He made the statement to me about one of the guys her brother was with. If you know about blank, then you know. He claimed that Ricky left Lakeshore Drive alone. However, family has eyewitnesses that he did not. They also have a location sent from his phone with the destination headed towards Simpson Drive in Pulaski County. They spoke to who he was supposed to meet with at Simpson Drive and asked if he ever showed up, and she claimed that he never showed up. In the text from Ricky's phone, he sent this girl that said, "We was planning to be there by now, but he lost service." The Antioch Monster, in fact, left Lakeshore Drive with Ricky. Family has proof of it from the eyewitness, along with the text from his phone proving he was not alone. So that's why the family doesn't think that he left alone, because an eyewitness seen this man they're referring to as the Antioch Monster get in the car with him. And then the Facebook messages to the female in Pulaski indicated that Ricky was not alone as well. 918 Lakeshore Drive was the residence of the Antioch Monster and another male. So that's what they're calling his last known location. Also says that the day that roadside interview took place with the Antioch Monster, that he left 918 Lakeshore Drive and never returned. The little building cabin we spoke about, that little yard barn that was on the property, was sold and moved from the property, and the self-built building that was attached was torn down and placed over top a burn pile shortly after Ricky's disappearance. So, suspicious much? Makes you wonder, huh? And in an interview with Phil Pendleton, the WCSO, which is Wayne County Sheriff's Office, stated that they could not give any information on her brother's case because it's an open investigation and aspects in the case they cannot compromise. So, and I do believe the family has stated that compromise and negligence is not interchangeable words. The family states that the car did not get processed for a whole year after his disappearance and after his story went worldwide. The mother was delegated to retrieve the wallet from the village apartments with no protection from law enforcement, of course. They state that their family has reached out to Deputy Cody Neal several times in the past couple months and get no response or a very short one. They can't get updates. They can't get answers to their questions. Last time that they received a response that was very short was September 10th, and that is as of, let me see when this will be. So as of October of 2023, they hadn't heard anything for a couple months from law enforcement. Or I'm sorry, it'd been for a month. So you can only imagine their frustrations. I can link the podcast. Give me just a second here. It's Coffee and Cases podcast. Let me see here. Copy link. Here, I'm going to put their Facebook page in chat. Let's see. There's their Facebook page. Let me see if it'll let me link to the exact podcast, though, because it's on a platform that I didn't recognize. Oh, I guess if I can get the correct link. Here it is. Sorry, guys. Let me see if it gives me a way to share from here. Yeah, okay. Let me put this. This is to the exact podcast. Here's the podcast link. And on this podcast, Cheyenne, the sister, actually gives an interview. So it's really good, correct information. There's the link to the podcast. Do you guys have any questions over all the information we went over? I know it was a lot and it was a little scrambled. Like I said, I probably should have waited another day and it'd probably been a little more put together. I always do this, but I couldn't help it. I was so deep in. I'm so far in. So what do you guys think happened? Just from the information that we went over during this live, what are you thinking it's looking like? What scenarios are going on in your head? Let's see something real quick here. There are so many articles on him. I'm telling you, this family has not stopped. They just haven't. And I mean, it's not fair because, we hear this all too often. Someone goes missing and they're not a young, blonde hair, blue eyed child that, is an Amber Alert and it's something dramatic that's going to make the news. It gets swept under the rug. And unfortunately, in this case, it's looking like a lot of others, even though Ricky had been clean for 2 years. I just wonder if that didn't play a role in how the police department or how the sheriff's office treated this case. Because I do know in other cases that can hold up an investigation. They think that, oh, well, they're just getting high and running off. So I just wonder if some of that didn't come into play. But like I said, everything you read and everybody that says everything, Ricky had been clean for 2 years and everybody is confident that that did not play a part in this. And I know nobody can know for sure, but it's just not likely. Well, if no one's not got anything, I'll start to wrap it up here, because that's the end of the information that I have. Looking through the Justice for Ricky's page, and it's just sad. There's so many people coming out to support. Oh, something I did forget to mention. There is a $12,000 reward to my knowledge. So, the family's really trying to get information. I'm just making sure that I gave all the information to you guys. Okay, yeah, it looks like I went over everything. And if you guys ain't got any questions, I do want to mention one more case that's close, near and dear. Are all of you all aware of Madalena Kojakari? If not, I'm going to link her group in chat here. That way you guys can go check it out. Madalena is missing from North Carolina. How many years now, Loves Lark? You know how I am with these times. I'm not the best at it. Let's see. I'm just trying to link it here in chat. So if you guys haven't, please go over and join Maddie's group and help share out her information, because she deserves to come home. It's been way too long. And like Ricky, there's not a lot of answers in that case. There's a lot of search warrants that we would like to see. But if you guys don't have anything else, I don't either. I will see you all next time. If I get any more information or update, I'll be back on about Ricky. But thanks for stopping by. And again, anybody watching, replay crew, I got any of this information wrong, just leave it down in the comments and I will correct it. Like I said, I just started digging this case, so it's very possible that I did get something wrong. But guys, thanks for joining, and I will see you next time.